This video is brought to you by Roll for Combat, an official Paizo actual play podcast. Visit rollforcombat.com today to listen to Agents of Edgewatch and join Basil, Dougie, Gomez, and Lomang as they protect and serve the citizens of Absalom from a mysterious and diabolical plot. Hey everybody, today I have for you a brief overview and first opinions for the book Lost Omens Monsters of Myth for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And a quick note before I get too deep into this, I should let you know that I was provided a copy of this book by Paizo. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's dive into Monsters of Myth. Last year, Paizo announced their plans to discontinue their line of bestiary books in favor of more focused offerings. Instead of one massive book with every monster type and the kitchen sink thrown in together, they're instead moving towards smaller offerings that allow them to really dive into a particular theme. For example, they may offer a book that is all about dragons, or one that covers all of the different monsters encountered in the Darklands, instead of one general book that's just labeled Bestiary 4. Monsters of Myth is the first of these new theme-focused monster books. It is 130 pages from cover to cover and retails for $34.99 in the US. A PDF version may also be purchased online for $24.99. It's roughly the same length as the other Lost Omen books, except for Mwangi Expanse and Absalom City of Lost Omens, which are both campaign settings and they're kind of in a category of their own. But yes, this book is significantly shorter than the bestiaries, which are more than double the size of this book. Again, these new monster books are all focused on a particular theme, and in Monsters of Myth, that theme is legend. Monsters of Myth not only introduces about 20 of these legends, but also gives links to explain that legends are more than just defeating a special monster in a battle. It's about the entire journey. It's about learning of the creature's existence, discovering its lair, overcoming numerous challenges to prove your heroic might, and then finally, maybe, ridding the world of that beast. The book also is keen to point out that legends are not written by the monsters, they're written by the monsters' victims, or those who have witnessed atrocities, or even by the local drunk who may or may not be entirely reliable. Each of the legendary monsters in the book follow a similar, although not identical, format that starts with an in-universe poem, nursery rhyme, or story that connects the monster to those that they terrorize. Following that opening is usually another couple pages that dive deeper into the legend that surrounds the monster. For example, journal entries from the detective who's investigating the legend of Spring Heel Jack, or local folk stories that surround the Melfesh monster. Following that introductory text that connects the monster to the legends and stories that surround it, the entries go on to provide stats for the monster and then provides some manner of supporting information that is going to vary from monster to monster. For example, the section on the Mosquito Witch provides rules for using her as a character's witch patron. The section detailing the last Salmon Car provides a new archetype, the Pact-bound Initiate, for players who may be drawn into the monster's pact. The section that details the Grograsant Lion not only provides stats for the beast's children, but also information on crafting armor from their hides. These are but a few examples, but each legendary monster provides some manner of extra mechanic or gear or feat or other item that is associated with it. Also, the monsters include an additional page that provides suggestions and story hooks for how players of all levels might interact with the legend. For example, Fafnir, the fabled father of Linorms, is a 24th level monster and beyond the means of virtually any adventuring party. But the book does provide suggestions for how groups of all levels might interact with this legend. At 1st level through 7th level, maybe the players venture into Fafnir's lair compound, far from where the Elder Linorm rests, but might still engage with lesser creatures that call those tunnels home. From 8th to 14th level, the players may be able to venture deeper into the lair, and the book provides examples of challenges they may find there. And for levels 15 to 20, the book provides guidance on how the players may be able to directly interact with and possibly defeat this legendary monster. So it's good that the book provides ways for characters of all levels to interact with these monsters and their legends, and therefore this book is not strictly for high-level games only. In fact, the book has a surprising number of lower and mid-level legendary monsters as well. On the screen here is a list of each of the fabled monsters of myth and their levels. These are just the main entries, and several of them have additional monsters of lower level statted out in the book as well, such as their spawn or their servants. Now there is one monster or monster type you might notice is missing from this list that you saw in the table of contents earlier, and that's kaiju. Kaiju are approached slightly differently in this book than the other monsters. No stats are provided for kaiju like there are for the other monsters. Instead, this book treats kaiju as forces of nature not to be directly confronted, but instead focuses on dealing with the consequences of their presence. So instead of monster stat blocks for kaiju, it instead provides a series of hazards that may occur when a kaiju goes on a rampage. All of the hazards presented in this book are specific to one kaiju named Ebshara, but these may be adapted for other kaiju as well, such as the collapsing structure hazard that would be familiar to anyone who has ever seen a Godzilla movie. So there's my quick overview of Monsters of Myth. My favorite part of the book is definitely the In Your Campaigns presentation of ideas for how to incorporate each of the monsters and its legend into games of any character level. And I also appreciate how this is more than just a collection of giant monsters. There's a surprising diversity of levels, and each provides not just an abundance of lore, but also new mechanics in the form of associated magic items, precious materials, or more things like a new Witch's Pact or a new archetype. I don't have any real hard complaints about this book, but I will say that I think I may miss the old bestiaries. Although not nearly as focused as this book, I did enjoy the variety and number of new monsters that were presented in each of those bestiaries. And since I've so far discussed what is in this book, I should probably just take a moment to discuss what is not in the book. Namely, this book is not a 2nd edition version of 1st edition's Mythic Adventures. Although both books discuss monsters of legend, the 2nd edition Monsters of Myth book is solely about those monsters and does not provide any rules for mythic heroes with mythic paths like were found in 1st edition's Mythic Adventures book. Anyway, that should give you a pretty good idea of this book's contents. Lost Omens Monsters of Myth is available now both online and from your friendly local game store. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the book, and as always, thanks for watching, take care, and happy gaming.